Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I will discuss some important questions and answers of pediatric hematology. Question number 1. What is the best test for distinguishing coagulation disturbances that result from hepatic disease, DIC and vitamin K deficiency? Answer: factor 2, 5, 7, 9 and 10 are made in the liver, and all of these factors except factor 5 are vitamin K dependent. Therefore, the measurement of factor 5 is a useful test to distinguish liver disease from vitamin K deficiency because this factor is reduced in the former and normal in the latter disease. In addition, factor 8 is reduced in patients with disseminated intravascular coagulation because of the consumptive process, but this factor is normal or increased in patients with liver disease and vitamin K deficiency. Therefore, factor 8 level is a good test to distinguish DIC from other two disorders. Question: why is sickle cell disease often asymptomatic during the first months of life? Answer: during the neonatal period, presence of large amounts of fetal hemoglobin reduces the rate of polymerization of hemoglobin S and sickling of the RBCs that contain this abnormal hemoglobin. As amount of fetal hemoglobin decreases after age 3 to 6 months, patients with sickle cell disease are increasingly likely to experience their first clinical manifestations. Question: an 8-month-old infant is found to have low hemoglobin and low MCV on a routine CBC. He is treated with iron supplementation for 5 months, but on repeat CBC, he is still anemic. What is the likely cause of his anemia? Answer: one option for his continued anemia is non-compliance with medication. However, assuming he had good compliance with medication, he likely has alpha or beta thalassemia trait, which are diagnosed by hemoglobin electrophoresis. Question number 4. How can you distinguish between iron deficiency and alpha or beta thalassemia trait using only the numerical values provided from a CBC? Now, distinguishing between these two microcytic anemia can sometimes be difficult, but we can use Mentzer index. It is defined as ratio of MCV to RBC count. A value of 13 or more suggests iron deficiency anemia, while a value of less than 13 suggests thalassemia. RDW, that is red cell distribution width, is often elevated in iron deficiency and is within normal limits in thalassemia trait. Now another question: what other laboratory test would you like to perform to confirm a diagnosis of iron deficiency anemia? Typically, in iron deficiency anemia, serum ferritin is decreased, serum iron is also decreased, but total iron binding capacity is increased. Under the microscope, RBC are hypochromic and microcytic in iron deficiency anemia. Now question: you hand a mother a prescription for iron supplements for her 1-year-old child who has iron deficiency anemia. Now the mother asks you how to administer the iron in relation to the child's meal. And the answer is: iron is best absorbed in its ferrous form and in an acidic environment, because low pH promotes activity of an enzyme that reduces the iron from its ferric form to ferrous form and keep it in this state. So iron should be given in morning on an empty stomach when gastric acidity is high, and with vitamin C, that is ascorbic acid, in the form of orange or grapefruit juice. This helps maintain iron in its ferrous form. Now the question: you are working up a patient with isolated macrocytic anemia and an otherwise normal CBC. Now you find that his B12 and folate levels are normal. What else should be considered in the differential? And the answer is hypothyroidism. It is another cause of isolated macrocytic anemia that should be considered if vitamin B12 and folate levels are normal. So check thyroid stimulating hormone. Now question number 8. A 7-month-old African American infant present to his pediatrician with symmetric swelling of his hand and feet. Now, for what type of infections will he be at risk in the future? Dactylitis or hand-foot syndrome is a common presenting symptom of sickle cell disease. It is often child's first vaso-occlusive crisis. Now, after their spleen has been removed or auto-infarcted, patients with sickle cell disease are at risk for infection with encapsulated organisms such as Streptococcus pneumoniae, Haemophilus influenzae, and Salmonella. Now question, in a patient with sickle cell disease and osteomyelitis, what is the most common cause of infection? And the answer is Staphylococcus aureus, which is the most common cause of osteomyelitis in all other patients, is also the most common cause of osteomyelitis in sickle cell patient. Although Salmonella is a frequent cause of osteomyelitis in sickle cell patient, but Staphylococcus aureus still predominates. Now, what are the components of cryoprecipitate? Cryoprecipitate is a plasma product of concentrated factors 8, 13, von Willebrand factor and fibrinogen, which precipitate as fresh frozen plasma is thawed and is collected by centrifugation. Indications for use include situations when specific factor concentrates are not available, for example hemophilia, reversal of anticoagulation or DIC. Now, what can cause an elevation of the prothrombin time when other coagulation testing is normal? And the answer is factor 7 deficiency. Prothrombin time measure function of common pathway factors including factor 10, 5, 2 and fibrinogen, and extrinsic pathway including tissue factor and factor 7. Activated partial thromboplastin time measure common pathway plus function of intrinsic pathway including factor 12, 11, 9 and 8. Now, isolated factor 7 deficiency selectively elevate prothrombin time. Other causes of elevated prothrombin time like liver disease, vitamin K deficiency or coumadin toxicity, they are not selective for lowering factor 7 activity. Now question, Rh positive infant is born to Rh negative mother and is jaundiced. Mother is upset and states, my first child was also Rh positive but never got jaundiced. How do you console this mother? During mother's first pregnancy with Rh positive child, she was sensitized and began developing antibodies late in the pregnancy. These antibodies crossed placenta during her second pregnancy, were exposed to baby Rh positive RBCs and caused hemolysis. Now, while this happened in intrauterine environment, bilirubin was cleared by placenta and by mother's liver. Jaundice or indirect hyperbilirubinemia result postnatally because baby's liver is immature and cannot effectively clear bilirubin. Now question 13, what is erythroblastosis fetalis and how do you diagnose it postnatally? And the answer is erythroblastosis fetalis is caused by transplacental passage of maternal antibodies directed at paternal antigens that are present on fetal RBC from either Rh or more commonly ABO incompatibility and thus resulting in increased RBC destruction. Clinical signs of erythroblastosis fetalis include severe anemia, hepatosplenomegaly, edema and high drops, that is the fluid throughout body tissues. After birth, a direct Coombs test will be positive, indicating antibodies are present on patient RBC. Blood type and Rh status of infant and mother should also be determined. A 6-year-old girl is found to have splenomegaly on a routine physical examination. Blood tests show hemoglobin 8.5 and increased retic count and hyperbilirubinemia. Coombs test is negative. Further questioning revealed that her father had a cholecystectomy in past. What do you see on a peripheral smear? And the answer is spherocytes. These on the peripheral smear are crucial in diagnosing hereditary spherocytosis. RBC will also have increased osmotic fragility in this disorder. A child presents to emergency room with vomiting, diarrhea and marked cyanosis. She is lethargic, is not in respiratory distress and has a normal oxygen saturation by pulse oximetry. Now with what should she be treated? This patient has gastroenteritis complicated by methemoglobinemia, which is treated with methylene blue. Methemoglobin is produced by oxidation of ferrous ion in hemoglobin into ferric ion, which prevent oxygen transport. In acquired methemoglobinemia, toxins such as anti-malarial drugs and nitrates in the well water can increase percentage of methemoglobin, interfering with oxygen transport. Methylene blue help convert ferric iron back to the ferrous iron, thus allowing hemoglobin to transport oxygen. Question: a 3-year-old girl recently recovered from a diarrheal illness now present with pallor, irritability and hematuria. What type of RBC do you expect to see on a peripheral blood smear? And the answer is schistocytes. These are commonly seen with hemolytic anemia secondary to mechanical disruption. Given the history of diarrhea and current symptoms, hemolytic uremic syndrome is a likely diagnosis. Question number 17. You see speculated red blood cell known as Burr cell under the microscope in blood smear of a patient with hyperkalemia, hypocalcemia and a pericardial effusion. Now what is the underlying diagnosis? This patient likely has uremia and chronic renal failure, which has resulted in the production of Burr cells. Burr cells are also seen in liver disease, but this patient electrolyte abnormalities are more indicative of a kidney disease. Burr cells are thought to develop in kidney disease due to deficiency in erythroid precursors in the patient bone marrow. A 1-year-old child presents with pallor and lethargy and is found to have a normocytic anemia. His hemoglobin is 3.5 gram per deciliter. WBC count and platelet counts are normal and examination is otherwise unremarkable. Retic count is 0.2%. Now what are two possible causes of this clinical scenario? And the answer is TEC, that is transient erythroblastopenia of childhood, and Diamond-Blackfan anemia. Both are disorders of red cell production that occur during early childhood. Both disorders are characterized by a low hemoglobin level and an inappropriately low reticulocyte count. Bone marrow of patients with these conditions may be indistinguishable, showing reduced or absent erythroid activity in both cases. Question 19. You are asked to evaluate a 9-month-old male with eczema and recurrent respiratory infection who was found to be thrombocytopenic. Now what is the most likely diagnosis? And the answer is Wiskott-Eldridge syndrome. It is an X-linked disease characterized by eczema, microthrombocytopenia, and combined B-cell and T-cell immunodeficiency. It is caused by mutation in the WAS gene. Question: what is difference between antibody screen and direct antiglobulin test? Antibody screen look for the presence of unbound RBC antibodies in the plasma, while direct antiglobulin test look for the antibodies which are bound to RBCs. If antibody screen is positive but direct antiglobulin test is negative, this indicates a previous sensitization to a foreign antigen, for example alloimmunization, without active hemolysis. If both are positive, this indicates ongoing auto or alloantibody mediated hemolysis. Now describe the differential diagnosis for children with splenomegaly and anemia. Here key question is the anemia the cause of the splenomegaly, or is the splenomegaly the cause of the anemia? Now causes of anemia causing splenomegaly are membrane disorders, hemoglobinopathies, enzyme abnormalities, and immune hemolytic anemia. Now causes of splenomegaly causing anemia include cirrhotic liver disease, cavernous transformation of portal vessel, storage disorders, and persistent viral infections. Question: what is the significance of a leukomide reaction? Leukomide reaction usually refer to WBC count of more than 50,000 per cubic millimeter and accompanying shift to the left side. Differential count shows increase in immature cells. Now causes include bacterial sepsis, tuberculosis, congenital syphilis, congenital or acquired toxoplasmosis, and erythroblastosis fetalis. Infants with Down syndrome may also have leukomyid reaction that is often confused with acute leukemia during the first year of life. Question: what conditions are associated with extreme elevation of eosinophil in children? And the answer is visceral larva migrans, that is toxocariasis, other parasitic diseases like trichinosis, hookworm, ascariasis or strongyloidiasis, eosinophilic leukemia, Hodgkin disease, drug hypersensitivity or idiopathic hypereosinophilic syndrome. In addition to an elevated reticulocyte count, what laboratory studies suggest increased destruction rather than decreased production of RBC as a cause of anemia? First is increased serum erythrocyte lactate dehydrogenase. More commonly seen in patients with hemolytic diseases, it can be greatly elevated in patients with ineffective erythropoiesis, for example megaloblastic anemia. Second is decreased serum haptoglobin. When RBC lies, serum haptoglobin binds the released hemoglobin and is excreted. However, up to 2% of the population has congenitally absent haptoglobin. And third is indirect hyperbilirubinemia. This is usually increased with RBC lysis. However, it may also be elevated in patients with ineffective erythropoiesis, for example megaloblastic anemia. Additionally, 2% of population has Gilbert disease. In this patient, acute infection can cause a transient elevation of bilirubin as a result of liver enzymatic dysfunction rather than hemolysis. Now, what clinical features are suspicious for hemolytic anemia? These include discolored urine, that is dark brown or red urine, jaundice, pallor, tachycardia, splenic or liver enlargement, and if very severe, hypovolemic shock or congestive heart failure. Question 26. How do children with neutrophil disorder present? Neutrophil disorder include those that affect quantity, for example various neutropenias, and those that affect function, for example chemotaxis, phagocytosis, and bactericidal activity. These defects should be considered part of differential diagnosis in patients with delayed separation of umbilical cord, recurrent infection with bacteria or fungi of low virulence, poor wound healing, and specific locales of infection, for example recurrent furunculosis, perirectal abscesses, or gingivitis. Question 27. Which is the most common form of chronic childhood neutropenia? Answer is autoimmune neutropenia of infancy. This disorder has 3:2 female predominance and is caused by chronic depletion of mature neutrophils. About 90% of all cases are detected within the first 14 months of life. Median duration of neutropenia is 20 months, and 95% of patients fully recover by time they are 4 years old. Now, what is the most common type of primary immunodeficiency in children? Selective IgA deficiency is the most common primary immunodeficiency in children. Most immunoglobulin A deficient subjects remain healthy, which is due to compensatory increase of immunoglobulin M in the body secretions. Although IgA represents less than 15% of the total immunoglobulin, it is predominant on the mucosal surface. Therefore, most patients with symptoms have recurrent diseases involving mucosal surfaces, including otitis media, cyanopulmonary infections, and chronic diarrhea. Systemic infection in immunoglobulin A deficiency are rare. Question: why is immunoglobulin therapy not used as a treatment for selective immunoglobulin A deficiency? Gamma globulin therapy is not indicated and is in fact relatively contraindicated because of the following. Short half-life of immunoglobulin A makes frequent replacement therapy impractical. Second, gamma globulin preparation have insufficient immunoglobulin A quantities to restore mucosal surfaces. And third, patient can develop anti-immunoglobulin A antibodies with potential for hypersensitivity complications, for example anaphylaxis. And the last question, what is underlying disorder in an 8-year-old girl with atypical eczema, pneumatoceles, and bouts of severe furunculosis? In this case, hyperimmunoglobulin E syndrome is the most likely diagnosis. This disease is clinically characterized by the following. These include recurrent infections, particularly caused by Staphylococcus aureus, of the skin, lungs, ears, sinuses, eyes, joint, and viscera. In lungs, it causes frequent persistent pneumatoceles. Other symptoms include atypical eczema with lichenified skin, coarse facial features, especially of the nose, osteopenia of unknown cause, and delayed tooth exfoliation, that is prolonged retention of the primary teeth. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, comment and subscribe to my YouTube channel.